전지조 정배.
Hello, my name is Taekwondo. This is our first volume of a new series of videos on Taekwondo and Kyusho. Kyusho means vital points, and they represent all the vulnerable parts of the human body. Vital points, they were also described in the Taekwondo Encyclopedia written by its founder, General Choi Hong Hi. What we're going to do today is to break down the patterns in order to show how to apply Kyusho on it. We're going to start with Jonji tool, and as we advance with the patterns, we will also advance with the Kyusho applications and the Kyusho techniques.
First thing we're going to take a look at is working the Chunji with the arm points. Okay. Hitting on the wrist, there are a lot of nerves in the wrist that are exposed. One of the weapons in the encyclopedia are these two knuckles. When we hit the wrist points, no matter which way the hand is turned, you're going to hit a nerve, but you want to make sure that you hit with that edge of the knuckle and come toward the hand for the pain and the dysfunction of the hand. So the motions in the form, one of the main motions is to bring the hands into this pattern and then drop and then step in with a punch. So the idea of the hand coming back this way is to weaken the person's hand so the punch doesn't hit us, and it also weakens. That weakens the arm, so when I do now the downward thrusting action, I can also hurt the arm on another pressure point. And then you'd step in and hit a third point. So the idea in the beginning is to strike on the wrist to weaken the hand. On the strike down, we have many different points you can hit. There's large intestine number 6 on the top of the arm. Again, hitting toward the hand will open the hand, but hitting down toward the body is going to drop the arm out as it weakens the whole arm. And as it weakens the whole arm, we're going to see other availabilities. We have pericardium number 2, which is what we're going to go after. So if I stepped in and punched with that technique, the whole arm is going to be useless. Right? So again, we come back, hit it down, and then punch. And your arm feels like? Not good?
Yes.
Okay. So to revive that, what we're going to do is tap where we struck, rub it, to make sure that the arm feels good. Okay? Now, if I hit this with a lot of power in here, this could dysfunction the arm. It can also make him fall down or pass out because this affects the blood pressure and he could faint. Another way of using this, there are several different ways. As a matter of fact, when you use the pressure points, okay, you will have infinite number of techniques you can invent. We're going to only go through a few of them. We can't go through all of them. This time what's going to happen is the hand comes in. If I strike a nerve on the outside of the arm, and then with my hand coming under in pattern, my knuckles would hit at a point in the middle of the forearm called NUE28. It's on the ulnar nerve. Okay, and this will weaken the arm considerably when struck coming across. And at the same time here, you can see the dysfunction in the hand, and you can also start to see what's going to happen with the legs. All right? So once we've accomplished this movement, now I can clear. Now I can go back into that pericardium number 2 to land that striking action. So just by bringing our hand up into this manner doesn't mean I'm getting ready for the attack. It could be the attack, okay? Or hitting, especially both of them, that's a debilitating one. And then you're going to be striking just another one, and then just another one, and he's going to be not able to use that hand much for grabbing or punching. It's going to weaken the arm considerably. And that's how you can use just this part of the pattern to destroy an arm. Another way we can work with this is this hand as it's striking, and this hand coming back as you're doing the blocking action. This could be a grab. Okay, looking at the yin and the yang of every movement, you have a punching ability, you have a grabbing ability every time you make a fist. So if the punch comes in this time, and I've taken the arm and I've weakened it, I can now grab it. Okay, now this downward strike could be to large intestine number 11. Again, I could start pericardium number 2. It all depends on how many pressure points you know. Okay, and as I do that, as I weaken the arm, you can see how it weakens the whole body. Okay, now I can expose it. There's another pressure point right on the front of the shoulder. It's called large intestine 15. Now, large intestine 15, when the arm is hanging normally, it doesn't cause pain. But if the arm is stretched back a little bit, now it causes pain because the nerve is exposed from the muscles separating. So as I've come in with this technique here and weakened that arm and pushed it back, look at how that exposure there, now to go right into that punch to debilitate the arm even further. So I'll go slower, but 1, you grab, you attack the arm with the hammering fist, you expose it, and now you can punch right into the shoulder. This can be dangerous because this can dislocate the shoulder. It'll release the whole joint, and then if I hit with enough force, like I'm stepping in with a body weight behind that, now you're going to severely damage the arm. Okay, now like the form does, you've got power coming out of each and every movement. And that's because we're not just playing the game of showing you the pressure points now, you're actually trying to break the arm or destroy the arm using the pressure points with that kind of power. We're going to take another look at this using a double attack. If the man comes in with the first punch and I've debilitated the arm and I've pulled it down, I'm getting ready to attack, and he comes in with a secondary punch, that downward block can now turn into a downward grabbing action. Okay? When we're grabbing the wrist, each time you want to be on another pressure point. Let me illustrate this pressure point before I go further. Right on the inside of the wrist is the radial nerve that comes down. The pressure point is called lung number 8. When I squeeze this, I want to squeeze to pull. That also weakens the body. So whether I'm grabbing with this hand or I'm grabbing with this hand, I want to make sure that I weaken the body already every time I touch it. I don't want to like go push his arm off and then try to hunt for a point. Every time I can get a point, I'm going to, because I want to weaken him all the time. All right. So again, he comes in with that attack. I've grabbed, he comes in with that secondary punch. My downward stroke has grabbed that nerve, and it exposes yet another one. Now the punching action that I'm going to step in with doesn't necessarily have to be a punch. It can be a rubbing action. Because the arm is still moving, I can hit that nerve in the back of his arm and really damage the elbow. Okay? If I stretch this fast, we see how this body weakens. The reason is, this is a tendon here. And in each tendon, there's something called the Golgi tendon organ. And what the Golgi tendon organ does is it signifies to the brain, it tells the brain that the tendon is in danger of being torn. So to relieve the pressure and make sure that the tendon doesn't get torn, the brain relaxes all the muscles. So they stretch like a rubber band. and that will release all the muscles and weaken him so that rubbing action makes him like jelly. Okay? And that's the idea behind the Golgi tendon. So as he came in, I would do an arm destruction, okay? Grab the wrist point. If he threw the other punch, I would get that out of my way with a catching action and then go right into that tendon to weaken the person and get my effect. So the punch doesn't necessarily have to be a punch in the body or the head. It could be another attack in another different way. Instead of punching, if I wanted to punch, there is an actual point back here that we'll do in another technique that I could punch. But I also want to make sure that my action can weaken the body on another point, on another structure. It's part of the Kyusho, part of the anatomy. Now, as the punch comes in, a little slow, please. Again, I'm going to be focusing on the inside this time, but the nerves in the wrist again. So as I strike, this is going to weaken. But now I'm going to punch the arm and really weaken the arm. He comes at me or swings and tries to stop me with that attack or that grab. I've gotten to take my downward blocking action and grab onto his arm. I'm on pressure points in the elbow, and now I can punch that arm to weaken that arm as well. Okay? So again, if he came in, I've got this, he comes in with that secondary punch, I take that down, and now I can punch. Now again, sorry about that, but I'm supposed to be stepping in with this, okay? I'm not for the movement of the camera, okay, but when I step in, it's going to add more power and dynamics. Go very slow with this. If I've taken this arm out, and I step in and down, okay, that's going to really stretch that arm out, so when I punch in with power, I can really hurt the arm and need to take the person down because I've off-balanced him. All right, so slow motion once again. You double attack the arm, you get rid of the other arm, and then you step in for your punching action. Same exact motions on the inside of the arm or inside of the punch rather than the outside. Okay, this time, as the punch comes in, I'm just going to show on the inside. We're going to attack the wrist. We're going to attack pressure points in the forearm or maybe up in the upper arm. At that time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to latch on with that same retracting hand. My downward blocking action is going to be another strike, striking on a pressure point called large intestine number 11, which weakens the body. It also rotates the body away and exposes that pressure point in the back of the tricep where I can take the arm and cause debilitation. Okay? So once again, the punch comes in, and I would do the double striking here. Grab it, strike over to here to weaken, and then do the punch to make him fall or pass out. This is a very powerful point on the back of the arm that causes dizziness because it drops your blood pressure. It's also working on something called the muscle spindle cell, which works pretty much like the Golgi tendon. When you stretch it, it causes a reflexive action in the body. And that reflexive action will weaken the arm, and it also will drop the legs when you hit with good intent. All right? So in slow motion, again, that was just coming in with the same type of an action, stepping in with that downward hammer, and then stepping in with the punch to drop the arm. All right, again, this is just a small idea of what this will do on just arm points. Okay? As we go through the whole series, we're going to work on head points, we're going to work on body points, we're going to work on leg points, we're going to work on joint manipulations, takedowns, grappling, knife attacks, all using the same patterns and different pressure points. Now there's another arm movement in the pattern that crosses the hands with both fists down. Then you come up with a blocking action, and then again you step in. All right, this has just as many variations as the first one does. And in fact, it's only limited by your mind, what you envision it to be. Okay? If this punch comes in, what I could have done was either catch the wrist coming in and punch that arm point, or I could have done the same two strikes with the hands coming down. At that point, I'm going to just push the arm so I rotate it. I have the pressure point on the back of the arm that I just struck in the last sequence, or if he turns too far, there's a pressure point right in the scapula called small intestine 11 that when I punch this will deaden the arm and make it useless. You can punch in with this. So I've taken this out and I flip this hand to continue the motion. And now if I have this target available, I can take that. But if you rotate it very far, again, the scapula is here, the pressure point right in the middle here will weaken the body. So once again, it comes in, 1, 2, and then 3 to deaden the arm and maybe damage the arm. I'm going to take the same first action out of the pattern and go with the motions that are involved in that pattern. Okay? If he comes in with the punch, I could deaden the arm with this action here. Now the downward hammering strike, instead of going back into the arm, we're going to target head points. There's a point right on the corner of the mouth and at the jaw. It's called mental nerve. When you strike this, it causes complete dizziness and/or unconsciousness. Okay? Right in back of the jaw, there's a pressure point called triple warmer 17. If struck, this will cause dizziness and/or unconsciousness. It also causes physical dysfunction. All right, now, if his arm is coming in and I've taken this attack here, it's going to weaken his arm. As my downward hammering motion comes in, I'm going to take mental nerve here. As it turns, I'm going to now strike right into triple warmer. So you have very powerful attacks. So go with this arm first, 1 second. So I've come in with this attack here. You're going to turn the head on the mental nerve and expose the triple warmer 17, which you would step in. Now, there's a technique or an idea in martial arts called one punch, one kill. Okay? Very difficult to kill a body with one punch. Okay? So, but what happens is if you multiply all these, you have a damage of serious potential damage. Triple warmer 17 in particular ties into the cranial nervous system. So it's a very direct route into the brain. So if I really power in a punch with this can cause some serious damage. Okay, so as the punch comes in here, I'm going to lightly tap here, and you see the dizziness in the person. But as that nerve gets stretched out, just a little punch here, you're going to see a lot of dizziness. If I put in the power that the form shows, I think you understand that you're going to have a lot of potential damage and/or unconsciousness at the very least. So again, the motion is 1, 2, and then you'd step right in with that power and punch. Okay? This time I'm going to take this pattern again. You can strike the arm or you can just use this as a blocking action. But as I strike the arm, I'm going to grab. Now you see that the arm is pulled, but look at the exposure of the head. He's coming forward. I can strike again at mental nerve. That will turn the head. And again exposing the triple warmer 17 for the powerful blow. So as the punch comes in 1, I grab, just a little tap here will dizzy the person, and a little punch here will make him very dizzy and incapable of carrying on the fight. Harder, you're going to drop the person. Slow motion without the punches, you're going to take the arm, grab, strike at the mental nerve, and again step in with that final punch right at the triple warmer 17. As the punch comes in this time, go slow please, come in with this punch. Again, we're going to take out the arm by punching the different pressure points. Any pressure point on the wrist, we're scraping. This time we're attacking heart number 3 on the underneath of the elbow. And this is going to weaken the hand. At that point, I'm going to drag the hand down. I'm going to step in, hammering to that triple warmer to weaken the body, turn the body, and eliminate the other weapons. And then I'm going to step in with the power punch, doubling up on the same pressure point. So as he comes in with this attack, and I've done this movement, and I strike here, that shocks him just a little, and then the punch will make him just a little bit dizzier. Okay? So you have that double action going through. So again, you don't have to stand or think of it just as a block. These can be attacks to the arms. These can be grabs instead of blocking actions. And as he comes in, it could be double striking right on the same point. All right, what we're going to do now is, we don't always have to attack the arm. Okay, these patterns in the form don't always have to deal with a punch coming in or blocking a punch or attacking an arm. It could be just an attack to the head. For some reason we're fighting and I get in on the guy right in through here. Now I can punch the mental nerve and the triple warmer at the same time here to cause dizziness. Okay, so just that action of coming across to get ready to go into the next motion could be the attack. Not getting ready for the attack. Not setting the arm up for the attack, but the attack itself. So again, I grabbed into it. Maybe we're in a grappling situation. Now I can strike both ways. This hand is facing downward to catch that mental nerve. This one is coming back, showing us the correct angle and direction to get into the head. At that point, you're going to do the downward motion, which could be a takedown, a strike against the neck and stomach, point number 9. And then you can follow in the punch if he's still standing at that point. All right, so slow motion on this side, I'm going to be punching the mental nerve and the triple warmer at the same time, extending my hands as I'm going into that pattern. Now I'm going to move into the body. There's 2 valuable points in the body on either side of the ribs. They're called liver number 14. Liver 14 on this side has to be struck down in a 45-degree angle like you're striking toward the kidney. Now instead of striking with the whole flat of the fist, which is going to be protected by the ribs, I want to dig a knuckle in and punch downward to cause the weakening and the spasming of the diaphragm. Now when I'm going through the pattern, my first hand position comes into this action. So as he comes in with the punch, I'm going to knock and punch at the same time, which is exactly what the pattern is showing us. So as he comes in with the punch, I'm going to punch. He's going to have some trouble breathing with this. Okay? At that point, I'm going to grab. Now, there's several different things we can do. We can grab again into nerves into the neck or the shoulder area to expose that and punch the back. Or you can take the same attacking motion here, strike into the body, okay, and expose yet another body point. Now let me show you how to spasm the diaphragm so we can stop the breathing or restrict the breathing. The diaphragm comes across the whole bottom of the rib cage. All right? When it's struck on certain pressure points, it causes the diaphragm to stop moving. When the diaphragm contracts, what it does is it pulls air into the lungs. As it expands or pushes up on the lungs, it pushes air out. Now if I stop its action, its muscle action, then the lungs can't breathe in or out. Now when I strike it on one side, it's going to cause tightness of the diaphragm. If I double strike it, it's going to cause it to spasm and stop. So once I've come into this, or if I've come into here, if I tap it down here, that can stop it. If I really want to mess it up, I'm going to hit it just the third time. So once again, he comes in with the punch. I'm going to punch, hammer, and punch. And that will make the breathing a little tougher. To rectify the breathing, we're going to hit at 2 points called spleen 17 to enable that diaphragm to push the air in and out of the lungs again. You can breathe again? Yeah. Okay. Did you have trouble breathing before with the strike? Yeah. Yeah. Now, just like we did on the head, the action doesn't necessarily have to be a blocking action on the arm. Maybe it's like our head attack where the action is actually double attacking the head points. Well, let's work on the body. Again, maybe we're in grappling. Okay? Now, what I need to do is I want to punch the guy in the ribs, but I don't want to have him see it coming, or I don't want him to fight it so much, or I don't want to necessarily use that much power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull him into this, which will take the wind out of the person's sails. Okay? At that time, I can expose it or punch in again. So I've got the same action coming through. So we're grappling or we're grabbed onto each other. Now I can just pull him right into that punching action. And that's just this into this motion. Okay? So sorry about that. Okay, if he did come in with a punch with that, okay, and I set it up this way, I can still go right into that same motion, okay, which would have been this action, this first action, the second and third action coming in at the same time, where I'm doing my downward hammer to pull him down and in, and the same punch that steps in afterwards. So there's a lot of different variations you can use just by using that one hand pattern. Now let's work this on a kicking action, the same hand pattern. Okay? So if he comes in with the front kick, go a little slower, sir. Okay, I'm going to first punch the leg on a pressure point called spleen number 6 on the inside of the ankle, or if I catch him higher, kidney point number 8. We're going to be showing these in diagrams in the film so you know exactly where they are. But when I punch into the spleen 6, this can cause pain and dysfunction to the other leg. It causes pain here, but it will cause a weakening in that leg. Now, as I first punched this one, my other hand had come up to this position here. I'm going to now target a point called liver number 9. All right? So the action is going to be this one and then this one to weaken out the legs. All right? As it comes in with the kick, okay, I'm going to hit double on the person here. Now you see the exposure. I've got the triple warmer 17 right behind the jaw that I could have attacked. I also have that small intestine number 11, if I couldn't reach his head here, to cause a weakening in the arm as well. Okay, slow motion once again. As he comes in, I'm going to punch the spleen 6, the liver 9. Go into the body. No, stay up here. Stay right here. That's good. Okay, say he just rotated. He didn't fall. Okay, and I don't have good exposure to his head because his shoulder's in the way. There's another body point right on the side. It's called gallbladder number 26. This weakens the leg and the hip. If I step in and punch this, it takes the leg right out of commission. Now, if I punch this hard, there is a chance that the hip is going to go sideways and dislocate. So you have to use this one gently because this could be a very powerful attack. So once again, he comes in with the kicking action. I hit, now I punch to drop the person. And I would do that with a little bit more energy and a little bit more stepping in. So I cause a lot more damage. Here, to be nice, we're just cutting the punch short. For the kicks now, what we're going to do is we're going to use this hand position here and this upward motion. As the kick comes in up high to the head, I'm going to step in with this hand position here, the two crossing fists. The hand now is going to lift and rotate to pull in. As I do that, I've locked his leg in, he has nowhere to go. Now, I could step in and easily punch right to the mental nerve. Okay? But I'm going to attack his leg a little further. We have a pressure point, it's much like the Golgi tendon on the back of the elbow, right above the kneecap, that if it's stretched, will weaken that leg and make him fall. I could also use it, not just with the knuckles, okay? Something more solid, the forearm, send the person right down. So the motion here, and then the punch, is going to be a takedown on the leg. Sir, could you come in with that kick instead? Yep. So I'm going to catch it. The hand on the bottom retracts into a blocking type of an action. That's to pull his leg tight. My forearm comes across that tendon, the quadriceps tendon on the top of the knee, and as I slice in, this is going to take him down. So again, the action, as I caught his leg, I trapped his leg, I took him down. The same motion right out of the paddle. We've gone through some head points. The main two head points I wanted to illustrate was the mental nerve and the triple warmer number 17. We're into the liver 14, some body points, gallbladder 26. We're going to now work on ideas to take down or to drop the person to the ground. At the end of the form, there's a double punch going forward, there's a double punch going backward. If I use this idea of him maybe grabbing onto my wrist or I grabbed onto him, the stepping action and the punch can be directed at a pressure point in the throat called stomach number 11. Okay? As I do stomach number 11, I want to reach in, and the nerve is in back of the collarbone. And I'm going to reach in and squeeze behind the collarbone, compress the nerve against the back of the collarbone, and take the person down. Now, as he's come in with the punching action, maybe I've used this idea to trap the arm, and now I just step in with that punching action to drop the person down on stomach number 11. Okay, sorry. Go in slow on this side. Okay, so I've used one of my trapping actions. Instead of doing a downward hammer, I'm just going to step right in and do the punching action. Now the punching action is rolling into that punch. Okay, so as I roll, my fingers are retracting, and that's what pinches the nerve to weaken out the legs. This nerve, again, you have the two collarbones, and you have the sternocleidomastoid mastoid muscle coming in. It's behind, and it gets very sensitive, I know. Okay, and you just reach in and grab, and that's a quick takedown. So if the person's grabbed my wrist, maybe I'm just going to step right in with that punching action to drop him. Okay, if he grabs on, grab on with this hand, okay, as I've come in this way, I can still grab and go into that technique, right? And by going forward with both hands, that just means I could attack that side or I could attack this side. And whether I'm pushing in at the person to take him down, or he's grabbed onto my wrist and I hold him to take him down, it still works. So whether I need to advance or pull back to get that takedown to work, it's very efficient. This is stomach number 11. All right, next takedown we're going to use uses two hand motions. We're going to use this hand motion with the outward blocking action. We're also going to use the downward from this hand posture as well. Let me show you the points first. Just go into the points. Okay, right across from the Adam's apple on either side, there's a pressure point called stomach point number 9. Okay, when you push this down and in, you can drop the person very easily. Okay? This is one of the points that we'll be using. Before, we showed a pressure point right on the side of the hip called gallbladder 26 that when you push, weakens the leg. We're going to use this one and or maybe one in the back called bladder 23. Bladder 23 is right next to the spine on either side, right on top of the pelvic structure. When we push this down at a 45, the legs weaken. Now I'm just pushing on these. They should be punched as in the form to cause a more dramatic and quick takedown. But I don't want to hurt the individual here, so we're just going to push on him. So this time the guy comes in with a punching action toward me. Maybe I've taken his arm into this position. I pushed it out. Now my hand is going to open. I'm going to grab into the stomach point number 9, okay, and pull it back as my other hand is pushing forward like the other part of the pattern. So come in with this hand, this punch over here. So he comes in. I'm going to grab or punch or maybe destroy the arm once again. At this point, I've turned the arm out. I'm going to grab into the guy's neck, and my punching action and my pulling action at the same time is what's going to do the takedown in this manner. So this side punches in, okay? I punch, I clear. Grab stomach 9, he starts to drop, and now I take him down with just that punching action. So that's one way to use both of these actions at the same time to get an effect on the pressure points of the body. It's not that you have to use just one idea all the time, these are to now mix and match. So there's another idea for taking down. Look now at some of these motions from the pattern coming into a grappling situation. The first grappling situation we're going to take care of is the standing grapple, where the person reaches up and grabs onto my shirt. Now at this point, I could destroy the arm, I could try to reach the head, okay, but this time I'm just going to go into more grappling of an idea. This hand posture here could be attacking the pressure points on the inside of the arm. Let's go to lung point number 5. If I hit this point, okay, it weakens the body and brings him into me. This hand can reach up. Now I can grab his hair if I want, or I can grab right into the side of the neck at another pressure point. At that point, my hand comes down. The other hand retracts, okay, and I would be stepping, but for safety of the uke, I'm not going to step. Okay, now this hand that throws the punch as I step forward grabs the chin, pushing on the mental nerve to weaken, and as I step forward, that punching action can now be a neck breaking action. All right, very dangerous or powerful technique. But once again, as he's grabbed, I'm going to latch right in and then boom, and that would be the form. Okay, working again carefully. Now let me show you one thing that's important on this mental nerve. Okay, this loosens the neck. So when you're working with this technique, you need to be very careful on that pressure point. If you tighten your neck so I can't turn your head, don't let me turn your head. Okay, so there's resisting, and it's very difficult. If I was substantially bigger, I could turn his head. Resist again, okay, very tight, but if I turn, you'll see how that nerve makes the neck just release. So once I've grabbed him, I've attacked him, I've turned him over this way. When I grab that pressure point, okay, it's going to be very easy to just twist the neck very quickly. And then at that point, that would be the neck dislocation and or breaking of the neck. So once again, I've used this pattern here with the downward hammer and the punch. Slow again. Okay, let's try to reverse. This hand comes down, this hand is grabbing. Stomach 9 point over on the side, it reaches back. Now this hand retracting, as that hammer comes down, this hand retracting can be punching right behind triple warmer 17, just to start the action. Now I'm going to come in with the grab, and that's when I'm going to go for that damaging neck technique. So that's one idea of grappling if the person has done a simple grabbing technique. Another grappling idea we can do is if the person is not latched onto my shirt, but instead he's latched onto my arms. Okay? We're going to be using this posture out of the pattern, where if he's grabbed on, I can disappear under his arms, slipping and locking right into that stomach point number 11 that we discussed earlier. That's the upper hand. That's the hand retracting to catch onto that point. The lower hand now, I'm going to go to the other side. As I've ducked under and latched onto his stomach, I also have this point here. So by using the both points here, we can loosen and drop the person. So again, I disappear, I catch onto stomach number 11, and at the same time, push onto the gallbladder 26 or the bladder 23 that I had mentioned earlier. Sorry, I'm going to just turn you on this one. So stomach 9 has been grabbed, stomach 11 has been grabbed, okay, and I've done the action of pushing down here at the same time to weaken the body. Now either one of these, this by itself with a punch can weaken the leg substantially to drop the person, and as we saw earlier with stomach 11, that could do the same job. From the front, I would have slipped under his arm here, I would have grabbed here and pushed at the same time. All right? So that's just this action from the form. In this segment, we're going to use the same hand posture and the same techniques to go into joint manipulation. One common attack is when the person is pushed. I'm going to rotate and bring my hands up into that same posture out of the form, catching the open hand and trapping it so he has no altercation for me. I'm going to drop my hammer motion here. Now look at the possibilities. I have the striped triple warmer number 17. If I want to be nice and not punch him, I could actually grab the stomach 9 for a control action as well. So as the push comes in, I'm going to lock him. I'm going to drop him here, and now maybe punch to the triple warmer 17 or grab right onto that stomach 9 to have him under control. At this point, you could step back doing the same hand motion and pulling up this way will take the person down the opposite way. So again, slow. We'll come up with that first hand posture, the downward hammer, and we step in with the punching action. Releasing the finger, but if I kept the finger, you could probably dislocate or break the finger at the same time. This time we're going to take a look at this pattern for a tuite or a manipulation of the joint. If the person comes in with a two-hand push, my hands crossing this way have trapped his fingers. At that point, I'm going to bring this hand up as a blocking action that brings him into the submissive position. Now if I step in, I have the punch. I can go to the mental nerve on the jaw here or triple warmer right behind the jaw. Or I could have taken that action here on the wrist and really push to dislocate. All right? So once again, he comes in. I'm going to cross. The hand on the bottom rotates to come under. And now I have my exposure for the technique. Once again, slow circle. Grab, turn the hands like I'm crossing. Rotate to one. Now I have the exposure. I might go for the takedown on the body, strike to mental nerve. So you can see the adaptability of just this simple motion. We're going to use the same type of a pattern coming down and going into this for one last tuite. As the person comes in with the punch, maybe I've taken out his arm with an arm technique. At that point, I'm going to be doing the hand with a downward block to catch his hand in a kotegashi type of an action. Now when I step in for the punch, I don't necessarily have to punch him in the jaw, although it's available. Okay? What I could also do with that punching action is push this hand to take him down. So on this side, as the punches come in, I'm going to hit the arm coming in to weaken the arm. That way he has no strength with this. The downward block comes in, and now the punch goes through with the takedown. So that's just one more idea on how to use this technique for a joint manipulation. There's several more. It's only up to the limit of your mind. These techniques can even work off knife attacks. If, for example, an assailant comes up and they place the knife against my throat, okay? The action of the hands coming up, again, I can weaken the wrist. At the same time, dislodge the knife from my neck, giving me a little bit of safety in this region, okay? Again, when I'm doing this, though, I'm going to be hitting. This gives me a lot of room for escaping that blade attack. Now, it looks like I'm probably getting my neck cut, but I'm not. Because what's happened is knuckles rub against my neck, not the blade. Okay? So I have a safety factor in that. And if I get a superficial cut, it's better than a deep jugular cut. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take out his arm at the same time, weakening the arm. At that point, I'm going to grab. Now I have exposure to do a knockout technique right on the back of triple warmer number 17. If anything, this here will weaken the person's body. Now I can go in with a subsequent one, or I can do another neck-breaking action using the same pieces of the pattern. So again, in slow motion, if this is working, I'm going to weaken the arm and grab to make sure that it doesn't come back at me. Now as I'm grabbing, I'm also grabbing into nerves of the arm to weaken the person because I don't want him slashing around afterwards. And right from there, I'm going to step in to take the technique to its full extent. Okay. Could you do it on this side, please, with this hand? Okay. So on this movement, we can attack the arm right into here, drop, grab, and then throw the punch right into triple warmer number 17. So that's one idea on how this could work against the bladed weapon. Now let's say the assailant takes the knife and he's holding it in the opposite hand pattern. First we looked at this side, now we're going to take a look at this side. I obviously don't want to draw this across the neck because that could cause a little bit of damage. Okay, what I want to do at this point is I'm going to attack the body at the same time as I attack the arm. Now I don't want to grab his hand. Because as soon as I grab him with tension, he's going to get tight instinctively. As he gets tight, I have a wrestling match. And if I have a wrestling match with this knife against my throat, I'm not going to have a fun day. So what I want to make sure that I use yin and the yang at the same time. So hold this in, push in well, okay? Hold it tight. I'm going to grab your wrist, okay? If I grab, you see what's going to happen is I'm going to hurt myself. But if I very lightly pull, he can't stop this. Now hold it tight, hold it tight. Okay, now this doesn't make sense until you try it. You're going to feel this. This is a pretty bizarre thing. The nerves, when attacked hard, will resist hard. It's a reflex. When they're not attacked hard, okay, there's no strength. So all I need to do is pull this just a little bit. I just need a little clearance. Now I can land that in, and now I can take him right down. Okay, using the same motions out of the pattern. But the key on this one is just go light. Okay, and that could just be this action coming in here, where I've got him, and that might just do that technique by itself. And then we can go for the takedown. Just make sure you don't touch the knife. You don't want your fingerprints on the weapon. Okay? So, this hand. You don't have to grab anything in particular. Okay? Lightly pull. Lightly pull. Frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lightly pull. Okay? And then you can punch. Right? So that's another way to get out of the technique using the same pattern. We're going to close with just one more move. At the beginning of the form and at the end of the form, the hands come forward. They're more of a salute. Okay? This can be a salute if you want it to be. It can be an attack if you want it to be, you know where to strike. Right across from the navel on either side, there's a pressure point called stomach number 25. Okay? When struck down and in at a 45-degree angle on both sides, it makes the person bow, which is nice because that's the next part of the pattern. Okay? But it's also very debilitating. If the person comes up and he chokes onto me, what has happened here is his arms have all the strength. His upper body, his chest and his shoulder area has all the strength because he wants to choke. He's squeezing hard. But what happens is it stretches all the nerves into the torso, so when I double strike, it's going to leave him exposed and weak. So as he grabs on, just a double punch makes him bow. Okay, sorry. Okay? If I hit harder with that, you can actually make him fall flat on his face. As you saw his feet skip out and back, again faster, not going to do it too much faster, you're going to see him, he'll go right down onto his face. Okay? And that should end the conflict. Then you can have a discussion with him or you can do whatever you want. Right? So again, even the salute at the beginning and the end of the form has meaning. If you know Kyusho, vulnerable vital points, okay, and you also apply your mind.